Larry Page. Do you know his full name? Okay, so it's Lawrence Edward Page, right? And another Sergey Brin. His full name is Sergey Mikhailovich Brin. Well, I'm not here to teach you about full names, but have you ever wondered like why these two odd-looking dudes, well, are kind of also good-looking, but why these two dudes were the ones who created Google? Could have been anyone, right? Maybe around 1998, 2 years before I was born, when they created Google. I think it could have been anyone that created Google. Is it? No, actually not. And I'm here to present my case regarding that. Do you know who Larry Page's father is? Also, by the way, thanks to this book, How Google Changed the World by Virginia Scott, and I think it was written around 2008. So, Larry Page or Lawrence Edward Page, born in 1973, and his father was Carl. Okay, and Carl was professor of computer science and artificial intelligence at Michigan State University. Also, similarly, his mother was computer programmer and she taught computer programming also at Michigan State University. Similarly, Sergey Brin, if you look at his parents, Michael Brin and Eugenia Brin, they also are well educated. Michael was professor of mathematics at University of Maryland, and Eugenia was also graduate from School of Mechanics and Mathematics, and she seemed to worked as a scientist. So I think you are kind of seeing what I'm getting with this information. Imagine in 1973, right? I read some Larry Page was around 7 years old. He received a gift on his birthday and it was a computer. So around 1980, right? And if I think about it, what was Nepal like in 1980 or any third world country in 1980, right? And you will find that it was not so good. And I don't think many of the people had access to the computers in a way that Larry Page and probably also Sergey Brin had access at that time. Because if you had computers at that time, you will have to be kind of in a privileged place. You will have to come from a rich place, right? I myself only got to use computer to its full extent uh, in around uh, 2018. Okay, 6 years, around 8 years ago, and so let's make a case. How does it actually impact what you learn and what you get to do? And we're going to also make a case that right now what's going on with the new technology that's emerging, AI, and how should you prepare to make yourself better if you want to really impact world or do any kind of meaningful work which still has meaning in this current world, right? So both of their parents, they are well educated. They come from a good background, computer science background or mathematics, and they got to use computer at a very early age when lots of people didn't have access to computers. So what does that do? The exposure, obviously, uh, to technology from a young age makes you more familiar with the technology, and you get to work with different kind of things. Even if they are kind of pointless, you can still look into things and study them. And not many people are really privileged to do that. Okay, and that's what has been bugging me for the AI scene, because you see, right now what's going on is we have this new tool, right? We have this new tool, AI, and I don't think many people realize that their lack of exposure to new AI systems that are coming up is causing them to lag behind. Okay, I myself just bought a solid max subscription for Claude Max 20x. I bought it just few days ago, maybe day before yesterday, and getting exposure to this kind of things really shifts your perspective. I'm saying this because I know a lot of my friends still don't have access to paid AI tools, and it's also not in their budget to host their own LLM systems. That's out of the scenario, but they don't still have access to basic tools too, the paid versions, which are really nice. And I really think that this is causing them to lag behind because they are not getting the exposure they need to really understand the technology. And you don't just start and you know everything, right? You have to slowly build your exposure, and you have to really take care of things, work with them, interact with them, and it will look very mundane. It will not look very professional or clean. It will be a step by step progression into learning these things, and uh, it is kind of throwaway things that you do that makes you learn. When I bought this subscription, X20X, I had I didn't have actually any money with me. I just had a client who had to pay me, and I just asked him, "Why don't you pay for this subscription for me?" Because I was really excited to get this exposure. I was using Cloud Pro, and I was hitting limits quite often, and it said that on the 19th of this month, so August 19th, it will reduced the weekly usage limit will be reduced by half, and that really scared me. Um, and so I jumped into take the Max 20s subscription, and I think it has opened my eyes, kind of, because I really thought AI won't catch up before that. Not actually AI won't catch up, but I really thought that AI still has some kind of limitations because I had to manage all these tokens, all these usage sessions. I have to properly plan it so that my usage limit won't go to waste, and that kept me in kind of place where I was delusional about AI capabilities, and I think I seriously underestimated current AI capabilities, right? And I still thought um, there was a place for me. Not that I don't think there is a place for me now after getting the 20x subscription, but the way I think about it has certainly evolved because after getting this subscription, I think there's a lot of things that I have been exploring, and the perspective have has shifted. So okay, let's revise a bit. I talked about Larry Page and Sergey Brin because why were these two people wants to create Google? Why could not have been anybody else? And I made a case that they were really in a place to do that kind of thing, that is creating Google, because they had parents that already were familiar with the computers that helped them a lot, and they had access to computers from a very very early age that helped them. Because exposure really teaches you more than you can study. Okay, studying can only take you really far. Okay, no matter how hard you study, if you don't have the exposure to right kind of things, your learning will be kind of hindered. Okay, so it's like, I don't know, maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson or I don't know, some scientist, really popular scientist, talked about it. This experiment, right, where okay, a person really can't see any colors. Okay, he's completely colorblind and he only interacts with the world in black and white. And if that person is told, okay, here is everything you need to read to understand colors, how they work, how they feel, the temperatures, the wavelengths, everything. And they go on and study all these things about the colors, but they can't really see colors. Okay, but you can, right? So you have the exposure to the colors, but he has more learning about the colors. You probably don't know the wavelength of red light, but he does. So, who of these two really understand colors more? You, who actually see the colors and interact with them on daily basis, or he who doesn't see colors, cannot interact with them, has no exposure to colors, but have read all the theories relating to the colors. You don't know the complementary to the red color, but you have exposure to it. You can probably feel it, but he understands it. He can name it. Mm, he can maybe on from the top of the mind list out the hex codes and other things. And I think that's the case I'm making here. People like Larry Page, Sergey Brin, or anybody you name it, let it be Elon Musk, let it be Jeff Bezos, let it be Mark Zuckerberg, they had kind of these early exposure to these systems, and that's why they were able to understand it better than anyone else. They got to play with it, they got to touch it, they got to feel it, they got to really see how this system works. And not everybody in the world at that time had that exposure. Okay, if you ask a third or a person from a third world country was born in 1998 or 2000, after Google was founded, if you ask what their parents were doing, who probably would be of the age uh, for Larry Page and Sergey Brin, their parents probably were, you know, like toiling around in the field, with their cattle. They were probably living in the stone age compared to these people. Okay. And all the people, even though they were learning about these things in third order schools, these countries didn't have the labs. These countries didn't have any infrastructure required to really get that exposure. And I can't believe how stupid anyone can be to really think that learning all those things without any exposure, without any play, would result in any kind of knowledge or put out any kind of different. Especially this is the case, I think, in Nepal and India, where the education system is really messed up, right? So if you are from Nepal and India, let me know the two viewers that will see this video. I'm talking to you. Maybe some of you I know, some of you might be my students that I've taught. And don't giggle, okay? Don't laugh that you that I'm making this video. Or maybe you are some of my friends. Okay. So okay, I think we got quite emotional there and made the case about Google and the exposure to technology and how it leads you to understand it better than anybody else. Now, extend that beyond, right? I personally have never seen a robot. Okay, I really haven't seen any robot. I haven't got to play with it or even drones, and not to turn it into cry fest. Uh, and people still they don't have access to computers in the way that is meaningful. And the thing that really scares me right now for other fellow developers is AI. Please start using AI. Please buy some subscriptions. Manage money for that. Take it as a learning and exposure experience, because AI is really doing wonderful things. Okay, and your lack of exposure to AI, your lack of play with AI, play with AI and let it be mundane. Let it go to waste. It doesn't matter. Just play with it, just interact with it. You don't have to build a next billion-dollar business. You just have to play with it enough that you start to understand it. And no matter how much you read, if you can't play with it, it won't matter, right? So identify that as soon as you can. And the thing I had to talk was about cycle of things and how they evolved. Maybe I'll go into details in some other time, but let's quickly look into that. Here I'll talk about 2 3 minutes because it's in my mind and I want to get it out. It's something I thought, learned. So as I was learning, let's plug in this book again. As I was reading this book by Virginia Scott, How Google Changed the World, I realized something about this cycle that's also on the screen. I drew a rough cycle, and what I wanted to get here was the evolution of technology and big corporations really start from great ideas, and great ideas they come with hard research. Okay, before Google, okay, I think let's touch on this in the next video. I think this video is quite long enough.